Thank you for all of you who are watching tonight. We also want to thank all veterans, our first responders, our law enforcement agencies, and everyone who has helped during the COVID-19. And my heart goes out to those of you who have lost loved ones during this pandemic. May God bless you all. Also, I want to thank Grassroots for America for sponsoring this event. We are grateful to you for supporting us.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people.
Welcome to the Seminole County Debate 2020 GOP primary. My name is Sendra DorcÉ. I am the CEO and founder of Sendra Capital and Sendra TV. Sendra TV is actually hosting this debate, and I thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please note that this session of the tax collector primary debate is being pre-recorded. I have with me my co-moderator, Alexandra Levine. Alexandra?
Hi, Sandra. My name is Alexandra Levine. I'm the founder of Potomac Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as youarenoidiot.com. I was also the former state leader for the America First Coalition for the state of Florida, as well as Maryland and DC. It is a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you to all who are watching tonight from nationwide and worldwide. We also say thank you to our veterans, first responders, law enforcement, and everyone that has helped us during COVID-19 and beyond. Thank you to our candidate tonight for coming on, and we're very excited to share with you, the American people, your plan for the district.
Thank you so much. I would also like to add that I'm so grateful for all law enforcement who has been supporting this country's freedom ideal, the idea that one can be and have anything that they want within the guidelines of the Constitution. And also, I would like to say that this event is sponsored by Grassroots for America. So thank you for supporting us. And so, Alexandra, did you, please edit this. I got stuck. Okay, so I'm maneuvering a new setup here, which is why. Bear with me. So this all can be edited. All right. So the objective of Seminole County debates, is to educate, empower, and listen to you, the Seminole County voters. Tonight, Sendra TV is honored to host this tax collector primary debate with Mr. Brian Beute. Brian is a resident of Seminole County, and I applaud his courage for coming on. And we did ask his challenger, Mr. J.R. Kroll, to join us, and he declined the opportunity. So Mr. Beute will be with us for the duration, and the format is a Q&A where Alexandra and myself will ask questions, and Mr. Beute will respond accordingly. So, Alexandra, the first question.
So, Mr. Beute, tell us about yourself for the audience.
Sure. Thank you, Alexandra, and thank you very much, Sendra, and for Grassroots of America for hosting this event. My name is Brian A. Beute. I am a Republican running for Seminole County tax collector, and I'm a native of rural Michigan, West Michigan area. And I received my undergrad in the West Michigan area, and also achieved a master's degree in Oregon, and worked on my doctorate at University of Central Florida. And I'm a 24-year veteran in education, and been married to my wife, Erin, who is an actress now for officially 24 years. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter. And I am really excited about this opportunity for you to grill me a little bit why I'm doing this. Most people ask, why tax collector? So I look forward to answering those questions tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Beute, what is your purpose and inspiration for running?
Well, I'm a family man. That is the basis of who I am, and family is extremely important in my heritage. And serving others is an important element of my heritage as well. And so I've served, as I mentioned earlier, students and parents and schools now for 24 years, and I've had the itch to reach out and serve in a broader sense the community. And I was considering other positions in Seminole County, and it just so happened to kind of slap me in the face, frankly, some of the news looking at the former tax collector. And I thought to myself, this is a position that I ought to be considering. And I talked to my wife and my kids about this, and I even thought, well, maybe I'll wait another 4 years. But wisdom set in, and my wife and my kids said, Brian, Dad, you should run now. My wife in particular, she said, your kids are, at that time 16 and 15. They ought to see you step up. Why be in the home and act as an armchair quarterback, and wait another 4 years? Why not run now? So I challenged, at that time on October 4th, I filed to challenge at that time Joel Greenberg, who was the tax collector at the time. And on the basis of principles and integrity, and that theme is who I am. It does not mean I'm perfect. It means that is my endeavor. That means that is my heritage's endeavor. And frankly, I think that should be the nation's endeavor. And I've now been a candidate for 10 months. A lot has happened in 10 months, as you both know and have been watching. And I'm still in the race. It's now between myself and another Republican for the Republican primary, candidacy. And I think I'm the best candidate. I think I'm the most well-rounded candidate. And I'm really excited to serve citizens in Seminole County.
Thank you so much.
So, Mr. Beute, what are your goals of improvement for the tax collector office?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, it has to be recognized that the full-time staff in the Seminole County office do an incredible job on a daily basis. So just like the three of us, we've had to make adjustments, in general. A part of working is improvisation. I'm a jazz musician, and that's part of what I do. It's my language. Well, we've had to improvise now since, mid-March, and so too has the tax collector office full-time staff. And because of recent events, on top of that, they've had to improvise as well. So, I want to say at the outset what my job isn't. I'm not coming in to reform an agency. My job is to enhance an agency. And the enhancement element is the leadership element. So no one signs up or files to be a tax collector that is an expert in tax collection, right? So if that were true, we'd have tax accountants who make $500,000 take a pay cut to run for a position that is not paid $500,000. So what's great about Florida is this seat is a constitutional officer position. And that person will answer to the citizens directly and answer to the state oversight, the Department of Revenue. And so I just think that, that's one of the purposes of my running, because I thought that there was an absence of leadership. I have obviously a lot of improvement ideas, but the first thing first, you have to analyze the situation. You have to really get a good sense of what is working well, number one. You have to. As I said earlier at the outset, the full-time staff are deserved as someone who is a leader, who's a listener, who has the attributes of steadiness, of patience, of wisdom. And again, I'm not a perfect human being, but I believe that those are attributes that I have and I've worked on for many years. And so that's the first step, to look at that. But there are some things that I think citizens would like to continue to see improvement. So some of our branches are small. So one of the things we'll do is we will have all of our facilities analyzed, audited, we'll get an appraisal, and then we'll start to look for other opportunities that might grow our facilities by square footage, and on top of it, reduce our expense. So one of my endeavors on, you probably may not know, but we have a facility known as the Taj Mahal by many inside and outside of the tax collector agency. And that's about $1 million expense per year. That's gone. And that's been at the top of my agenda. Another agenda item is to have a full audit of the tax collector office. There are a lot of reasons I can't talk about today why that should happen, but I think the implication of my candidacy as the citizen candidate is it's readily understood. That office has been troublesome for Seminole County now for at least 8 years, potentially longer. And I am not a professional auditor. We need to have an independent forensic auditor come in, look at what has happened, give to me and the citizens a full report, and I'm going to, of course, be the conduit. I will provide that directly to citizens. They need to know what's been happening in that office. And of course, that'll be reported to the state of Florida as well. But those are just a couple of my endeavors. I have other ideas as well. But you know, that just, I hope that gives you and viewers an essence of who I am and my purpose.
Sure, thank you so much. And on that note, I would like to ask you, what unique skills do you have that you will utilize to fulfill your goals?
Right. So I've served as chair, a department chair. I've served as a director, an educator, an instructor, a conductor, a mentor, a counselor. These are, of course, titles, but within those titles are some of the sub skills that are necessary to be, you know, strong in each of those, underneath each of those hats. And so I think that I'm a temperate human. I'm passionate, and I've been accused of being too passionate at times, but I'm extremely passionate about process and analyzing situations. And like I said earlier, I think that the full-time staff is just simply deserved as someone who is what I mentioned, is passionate, who knows how to lead. So those are, you know, to be specific about the skill sets, I think they just simply fall within, you know, the framework of the job titles that I've had, and I just simply want to lead and provide, you know, mentorship to situations. You know, when you're an educator, you have to improvise. There are some general skills you have to learn as an educator. There are some general contemporary skills you have to be aware of and utilize. But the advantage of being a musician and a music educator is that that is what I do. I improvise. I'll give you a small example. So if a student is missing and he's a key part of an ensemble, let's say he's the bassist, all right? You better have a plan B. You have to have a plan B. If you don't have plan B, you can't produce a product. You can't produce a production. So that's one of the skills that I do have, is always having a plan B. And I think that translates into a job like this because you're serving citizens. You know, citizens are all different. You know, categorically, they're categories of human beings, right? But one of the basic common themes is that people want to be served with a smile. They want to be served with excellence, with expertise. And I know that's already happening in the office. So in essence, if you think about it, my job should be actually quite easy. I should be able to articulate what is already happening. And so that'll take some time, of course, once elected and once installed in that position in January, for me to really get a good idea of what is happening and, of course, what needs to yet happen. And I'm looking forward to this opportunity.
Thank you so much. So what is the one thing you feel is an essential implementation to the tax collector's office to make it more efficient?
Right. I don't know if this position currently exists, but a certified human resource director is really, really critical. And I'm going to tell you why. When you're the leader of any entity, whether it's a business, whether it's a school, whether it's even a classroom, there has to be a certain transparency, but a certain opaqueness as well. And citizens are expecting, a leader to lead. And that leadership, that perception of that leadership is different from a citizen's perspective than it is from a subordinate's perspective. And some information has to go to certain individuals, and some information doesn't have to go to certain individuals, whether it's law or whether it's just process. And so having a really solid human resource director who understands and can sort of play liaison between that, I think is going to be really, really critical to moving forward. We're probably going to see a certain amount of retirements in the next few years, let's say the next 3 to 4 years in a first term that I would be serving. And it's going to be also important to add an element of training within the tax collector agency. So in other words, if we have assistant branch managers, are those the branch managers that are assistants that ought to be then moving to, when there's a retirement, to the branch manager position? So having, again, someone who understands and looks for certain key attributes is going to be really critical. Of course, that's going to be an element of my job as well, but that's going to be a key hire. The other reason for hiring someone like that, they're going to be really aware of state mandate, state law, local law, employment strategies. And so having an expert in that field, as you probably know, is going to be critical. And finally, compensation is a really important part and piece to a position like this. One of the things that in Seminole County, citizens will criticize leaders. They'll criticize them for not ensuring that people who are in, let's say, police or fire department work, or in agencies like the tax collector office as service agents, that they're not compensated in a parallel way that leaders are compensated. And so I really want to take a real good look at our schedule. Are we on a single salary schedule, or is it just negotiable? But I really want to look at that, and I want to implement standards when it comes to salary and benefits.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beute. What legislation would you propose or support when elected?
Right. Well, it's important at the outset to mention that this is a processing position. It's not a legislative position. What do I mean by that? This constitutional officer position was created a long time ago. I think it was the late 1800s in the state of Florida. And the reason for that was to create a sense of autonomy and checks and balances. So from that perspective, I'm not a legislator. You're going to find out that the Democrat wants to legislate. In other words, wants to create policies that play to certain people in our culture. That's not the job of the tax collector. The job of the tax collector is actually fairly simple. It's to receive taxation, whether we like it or not, and to remit. That's the job of the tax collector. It isn't for me to opine, well, it really ought to be this or that. That's not the job. It is clearly described in the Florida statutes. So I don't want to act like a legislator. I'm not applying, or I didn't file to run to be a US senator or a Congress person. I didn't. This job requires someone who can look at process, look at the law, and apply it. Now, I will say this, however. In Seminole County, well, unlike other counties, where the tax collector could be running as a nonpartisan, I do like that idea, actually, of running as a nonpartisan. I call myself the citizen candidate more than I do the Republican. And The reason is because I'm not serving just Republicans once elected. I'm serving all citizens. Last time I checked, Republicans weren't the only ones who paid taxes. Last time I checked, Democrats aren't the only ones paying taxes. Last time I did check, every one of us has a philosophy about taxes. I'll even explain, let's say, a fundamental philosophy I might have, but I'm not going to legislate it. And that is that I actually am a believer in a consumption tax. I think that would actually serve citizens better. It's almost like a single salary schedule where everyone knows it's an open playing field. We know we're playing basketball today. We're playing with a basketball, and we know there's certain rules to play the game of basketball. But that's not what it is in Florida. It's a property tax. We're reliant on the valuation coming from the property appraiser, multiplied by the millage rate that is set by counties and municipalities. And that's the equation. And that's your tax. So we don't have to like it. We don't have to like taxes, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. But what we do want is we want someone who is going to simply follow the law. Now, if people want to legislate that, that would be county commission. That might be your Florida congressperson. That's where it's appropriate to talk to those people. But to come to a tax collector and say, and I've heard this a lot on the campaign trail, are you going to raise our taxes? Well, in fact, no. I'm not responsible for raising your taxes. I'm responsible for a budget, and if there is surplus remaining, that does by law go to the county commission. But the county commission has to operate its own budget and has to budget properly. So, I'm not going to act as a legislator.
Thank you. No, I'm actually glad that you brought up property tax because that's actually going into our next question.
Okay, sure.
Do you believe there needs to be new property tax legislation due to the high influx of people permanently moving down to the state of Florida?
Right. So if we think about this from a numbers perspective, right? Florida is now the third in population in the nation. It used to be fourth, and it overtook the state of New York. I think probably for some obvious reasons. New York, I think, has an 8% income tax, and Florida has a 0% income tax. But what's interesting about that is, you see superstars and people of high notoriety. They move to Florida. Where do they move? Well, they have the ability to move to West Palm Beach, right? Somewhere where think about this a minute. The property tax, the insurance, is going to probably supersede what you would be paying if you paid your income tax. So Florida has a taxation in essence, and we pay a lot of money in the form of property taxes. Now, we also have homestead and homestead exemptions. So those people who have lived or purchased for a period of time and have a home, they receive that exemption. If you're renting, you don't receive that exemption, obviously. So whether there are some legislative changes that have to happen, once again, to be consistent and to be true philosophically to the tax collector position, the tax collector's job is simply to collect and remit. If someone asked me my philosophy or my ideas, that's one thing, but ultimately, I'll never be in that position as a tax collector. And I don't frankly even want to be in that position as a tax collector to legislate something new. But, with a growing population, it's probable that Florida will have to make some kind of changes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Beute. And for the next question, I want to ask you, why are you the most qualified Republican candidate to run against the Democrat, Lynn Dichter?
Well, I am who I am first and foremost. And I have to win a primary. And I want to honor the citizens of Seminole County, in particular, obviously the Republicans, since we are primary state, close primary state. I want to honor them enough to say, I'm willing to serve. I've been serving schools now for 24 years, and the constituents range from ages of 5 to 18, and their parents and their grandparents. So I'm used to the idea of being a servant. I have analyzed and I've watched Lynn Dichter. She provides this format that she calls couch chat every day at 4:30. And she's probably going to be honored that I'm saying that I watch her on a fairly daily basis, but I am watching her. And here's what I can report to you. She is a partisan leftist, pure and simple. She talks about profiles of individuals and individual behaviors as if it's a buffet. And I don't look at citizens this way. I don't look at citizens based upon race, based upon their sexuality, based upon anything. That's not who I am, and that's not who I have been for 24 years. You know, Lynn Dichter has been a DJ, was a DJ for a long period of time, a shock jock, you might even say, and said a lot of unsavory things, frankly. Now, everyone can change. I believe in the idea of redemption and grace. But to this day yet, Lynn Dichter, she just said about 3 days ago that she's had enough, we have had enough of white middle-aged men, Republicans, in leadership in Seminole County. That's from her own lips. That's not me making this up. I'm just reporting what she actually said. So she won the Harvey Milk Award. And I love all human beings, but she highlights this. She uses that as a platform to run for legislator. No, not legislator. For president. No, not president. For county commission. No, not county commission, but for the tax collector. Really? You mean the tax collector should be in the office, in the business of declaring like what your sexuality is and isn't, and whether you're a white middle-aged Republican male or not? I find that, frankly, I should be offended. I'm not. I'm just simply sharing with you that is her thinking, and it comes off of her tongue, not mine, not someone else's, but hers. She has to own that. And so she's very partisan. And frankly, I don't believe that that's going to serve Seminole County citizens properly. I don't think that they are looking forward to a Lynn Dichter tax collector leadership role for the next 4 years. I think that they're looking for the citizen candidate, someone who frankly is even upset and disappointed in many aspects of my own party. And folks can read between that. They can ask me follow-up questions on that, and I'd be happy to share that with you. But I'm more interested in serving citizens, because we've had two highly partisan individuals serving in the tax collector position, and to some degree unsavory individuals, and that I am not. And I don't think we're ready for, and I don't think any community, frankly, should be ready for a partisan as a tax collector.
Thank you so much for that answer. So our final question to you is, what is your final message to the voter, and why should we vote for you August 18th?
Well, thank you again, Sendra and Alexandra. It's great to meet you, and I'm thankful for the grassroots effort in Florida and across the nation, because it's an element of voice that's not heard often. It's a voice of regular citizens. It's not the elite. It's not the partisans. It's not the leftists. It's not the rightists. It's not this color, that color. It's time that Seminole County at least starts to lead in uniting. One of the things I remember growing up, I remember hearing the buzzword that our differences were our assets. And I heard that just a lot. There were other buzzwords that I remember hearing as a young lad in schools. And I thought to myself, that's really odd. I thought our unity was why we won wars, world wars, why we freed nations and peoples and tribes around the entire world. We don't hear talk like this anymore. What do we hear? Red, blue, right, left, tall, short, this construct that people are tired of. And then comes a person like myself. Yes, I'm a Republican. I've been a lifelong Republican. It didn't take me moving to Seminole County to become a Republican. My Republicanism predated my moving to Florida and Seminole County. And I don't want to say I'm a true Republican, but I think I'm emblematic of citizens who are simply trying to run businesses, simply trying to raise their families, and they're tired of this hyper-partisanship that is destroying our nation and our communities. One thing I said just recently is that we owe, and we're roughly 3 of us in the same generation, we owe our children and their children an opportunity to live in a nation that was bought and paid for by blood. My own family fought for this nation. My generation hasn't had to do a lot of that. And going back to the outset of why I ran in the first place, I ran because my wife suggested, you should do something while they're in our home and they can watch you and stop, I don't want them to hear you complain in our home anymore. I want to see you do something about it. And that's ultimately why I'm running and why I think I'm the best candidate for this position. I'm passionate about the nation, not about this dichotomy, this whole this or that, Coke or Pepsi, the pizza wars, this whole idea of this duality. No, we need to stop. It's time that we and our generation step up. And I hope that my running, at least in a small county like Seminole County, can be an inspiration to people our age and older than us and even younger to say, you know what, I think I want to lead too. And even if I don't win, I feel like I did the right thing. I took the next right step. And that's all we're guaranteed. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed 50 years from now. We're only guaranteed the next step, if that. So we've got to declare in our minds we're going to take the next right step. I am no perfect man. I'll probably make mistakes. I don't think I'll make mistakes like the past couple of tax collectors, but I'll probably make mistakes. But I'm a person, I think I have enough wisdom to listen to other people before I do make those mistakes. This is a collaboration. This is not a dictatorship. This nation is about all of us working together for a common cause. And frankly, that common cause for me is my children and your children and their children. And it's just time that our generation does something. And this is my contribution.
Mr. Beute, is there any way we can find you via social media? Please tell your website to the audience.
Sure, you can reach me via my website. The website is brianbeute.com. You'll see there ways to contact me, including a phone number. And I'll say one last thing. I know this is, I suppose, what politicians are supposed to do, and I am no politician, but I am admittedly a grassroots candidate. I'm running up against someone who claims to have $100,000, and I've contributed $6,000. And but I must say that $100,000 has really not, the ROI on that is not producing an 80% to 20% win. It's probably 50-50 right now. And I think the key element in this race is integrity, is principles. I'm not a real estate broker. I'm an educator. And I hope that citizens in Seminole County will look at my candidacy as something unique, and they'll give me a shot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much, Mr. Beute. We want to thank you again for joining us tonight and your willingness to participate in this debate. And unfortunately, your opponent was not able to join us, and we wish him luck. But we also wish you the very best. We want to thank Grassroots for America for making this event possible and supporting us. We just want you to know that Seminole County Debates is committed to providing you profound insights through these debates as we move toward the primary election on August 18th. And also, just so you know, it is up to the voters to help the United States of America gain more stability as we navigate these tumultuous times by selecting who we presented to you over, one of the candidates that we presented to you over the last week and a half. And we have a few more debates. And just so you know, we are here to listen, to empower, and to commit to your understanding of the process, the voting process. And I want to say thanks again for allowing Sendra TV to host this event. Alexandra, would you like to say anything in closing?
Yeah, so again, thank you to everyone who is watching tonight, nationwide and worldwide. Again, thank you to our candidate, Mr. Beute. Again, we hope that you do very well August 18th. And we thank you to everyone who has shared their plans and ideas for this district and beyond. Again, please don't forget to vote August 18th. My name is Alexandra Levine. I'm the founder of Potomac Sports and Entertainment Network and the founder of youarenoidiot.com. And the reason you listen and you watch is because you are no idiot.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. And just know that your voice matters and your vote matters. So make it count. Thank you. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.
For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes starting right here and right now.
Thanks for joining us on Sendra TV. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when a new episode is uploaded. Also follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and we definitely appreciate you being part of this community.